Happy day, happy day, happy day. It is a happy day. It's it's such a good feeling to know you're alive. Wow, happy day. I am feeling it today. You know, some days you're just not feeling it. That's okay. And today I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling good. Let me make sure I can get the captions up here. And why am I feeling good? Or the chat. Why am I feeling good? Consistency. Life seems to be um, like right here, right now, just as it is, really good. And of course, there's things we want to expand. There's things we want to grow into. And it's all right. Because right here, right now, just as it is, exactly as it is, this moment is enough just as it is. I'm enough just as I am. You are enough just as you are, just right now, exactly as it is. And that is something to feel good about. That's something to scream about. Scream with me. Woo! That's what I'm saying. So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it because we're starting late today because I was with a client here at Rythmia. And, you know, that's one of the most amazing things about being here is that, you know, you're just sitting around. I had finished what I was doing earlier and I was going to grab a quick bite to eat at the restaurant here on property. And all the guests are there. They're communal tables and you're just sitting with people. And this one lady just started talking and she came here thinking it was a yoga retreat. She was like, I knew there was ayahuasca, but I thought that was optional. And I was just going to come here and do the yoga and get some healthy food. And she's like, I don't really, you know, I've done a lot of work. I don't really need this. I just was coming for the yoga. And here it is. She's had 3 ceremonies and she was kind of asking me like, you know, I'm not really feeling anything. I saw some stuff last night. I don't know what really to make of it, but nothing's really happening. And we just started talking. And the waterworks start going and she starts going back to early memories start coming up right at lunch, and had this huge awareness of who she was as a little girl, trying to keep her dad awake at the wheel in the car, and how that's rolled into an unconscious belief that she's got to take care of everybody and everything. And how, I mean, she had a miracle at lunch. She saw who'd she become. She knew, and that's one of the things about this place, about Rythmia, is the amazing things that happen. And it's not just in ceremony. And that's actually what I want to talk about today is integration, right? Because integration is integrating the insights and downloads and what's happening. And even if it's not insights and downloads that are happening in ceremony, stuff's happening to you every day. There's energies, you're moving through things are happening in your body. And then we need time to let those things bubble up. This lady was having some experiences in ceremony, but nothing really, but the medicine was working. And at the right time, it came out at lunch. And that's what happens to us in life. We have an experience, something happens to us at work, something happens to us in meditation, something happens to us with a family event, a death in the family, something happens and we just move through it. And then there's this integration that must happen afterwards for us to really take a moment to examine and to allow something to emerge and to catch that vision of what's seeking to emerge because of that experience. That is the most important piece. So integration part 2, that's what we're talking about today. Integration part 2. I want to give you today some tools that have been helpful to me to start integrating. You, whether you've done plant medicine or not, you have some things, some insights that have happened. You have some ideas about things that you'd like to change. You see some things about yourself that you already know. I already know that I'm reactive and I put my awareness on that. I already know that I can be depressed or have anxiety, and you bring your awareness to it, but you're unable at some level to affect a change. But the truth is you're making the change. We think that it's a one and done. If I'm aware of it, I need to change it and it should be done. Here's what I want to tell you about integration. Integration is a is a process of continually choosing a new path. Okay, 3 things that I want to say. I want to talk about the 4 levels of mastery. I want to talk about neuroplasticity and choosing new neural pathways. And then I also want to talk about some things that you can say to yourself that have helped me when I'm in the process of learning a new path. Okay, 4 levels of mastery, neuroplasticity, and neural pathways, things that you can say. That's our agenda. Are you ready? Let's go. Let's go. Okay. So I'm laughing because Dr. Jeff, who's our medical officer, had shared with me an Instagram profile of this guy who has made some great changes in his life. He was like an ex, out of prison, and a really tough looking guy. And he's on Instagram and he's talking to other people, and he's from that sort of mentality, lifestyle, kind of a gangster looking guy. But he's like changed his life, and he's saying uplifting and positive things, but it's still that sort of, and so on his profile, he's always like, don't let other people say things about you. Be like me, but anyway, I'm laughing because he always goes, let's go. All right. And I like the guy. It's pretty freaking amazing how he's changed his life. And I'm just laughing because of Dr. Jeff. Okay, let's get back to our agenda. Are you guys ready? Let's go. All right, number 1, 4 stages of mastery. So when you begin to integrate something, you're on a path to mastering something about yourself. And the first stage of mastery, 4 levels. First level is I'm unconscious and incompetent. Next level is I'm conscious and incompetent. Next level is I'm conscious and competent. Next level is I'm unconscious and competent. And it works like this. I've talked about it before, but it's worth repeating. It's really, really powerful for you to remember this because it gives you a place where you're at on the path to mastery and allows us to give ourselves a break, to be gentle with ourselves, because we expect to master stuff right away. It's just like when I go to the gym and I can't quite do that new move, that new body weight thing, or that new animal flow thing, and I'm trying to get it, or a handstand. I'm still working on a handstand, right? I'm mastering something, and I expect to be able to do it perfectly right off, and that's not the way it works. Hey, everybody, I'm so glad you're joining in. Welcome. Okay, so I use the example of learning how to tie your shoes with the 4 levels of mastery. When you were little, you didn't know there were shoes, and you didn't know how to tie them. You were unconscious, and incompetent. You didn't even know. Then you learned that there were these things called shoes, and they were supposed to be tied, and you didn't have to know how to do it. So you were like, Mom, Dad, tie my shoes, please, right? You were conscious, but incompetent. And then you learned how to tie your shoes. And you could do it if you were really focusing on it. Bunny ears, make the thing, do the thing. That's conscious, competent. All of our growth comes from conscious incompetent to conscious competent. That's the biggest learning curve. And then finally, you're unconscious and competent. Now you don't think about tying your shoes. You just tie your shoes. It's second nature, and you're completely competent at it. That's the process of integration. And we could say integration comes from conscious incompetent to conscious competent, and embodiment is unconscious competent. So you have something that you're working on in your life right now, because I know otherwise you wouldn't be watching this, because you're already spiritual. You're already on a path. You're already doing great things in your life. Acknowledge yourself. Just take a minute right here and acknowledge yourself that you are actually making huge strides in your life. Yes, you want to go further. Yes, you want to improve more, but let's acknowledge that you're already on the path and you're doing so much, and so much is going right. Acknowledge yourself. Yeah. Pat yourself on the back because you're amazing. You're doing great. Now, give yourself a break. You're at the point of conscious incompetent and conscious competent. You've seen that thing that you want to change, whether it's depression or anxiety, or creating a new habit around your diet, nutrition, exercise regime, your spiritual practice, whether it's being less reactive, being more compassionate, taking on a new skill, learning to play piano, learning golf, whatever it is that you're doing something to expand your consciousness, to expand your awareness. Acknowledge yourself and acknowledge where you're at in the 4 levels of mastery. And know that all the growth happens between level 2 and level 3, conscious incompetent, conscious, competent. That's integration. And so the next thing I want to tell you is about neural pathways and neurodevelopment. So when we think a certain way repeatedly, what neuropsychology, neuroscience shows us is that there are electrical chemical reactions in the brain, and the brain sends a signal down a synapse to an axion and dendrites, which connects to the next one, and it's this electrical relay. It's almost like dominoes, chick, 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 tripping along electrical signal, chemical electrical signal, tripping along a long axis. And when we think a certain way repeatedly, this fatty acid builds up along that axis, and it's like hinging those dominoes together. So now instead of domino, 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 it's like 10 dominoes, chink, chink, chink. And we build up a pathway. We start to think a certain way. We get into a certain groove. In fact, we call it getting in a rut. It's in our minds. And then you have an insight. I got it. You did plant medicine, or you're in meditation, or you had a realization that just came to you and you're like, I see this. I want to change that. I'm aware of that now. You're at conscious incompetent. You're conscious of it, but you're not competent. And now you're moving from conscious incompetent to conscious competent. And now, so you now are cutting a new neural pathway. You have this one, you've been thinking the same way. It's built up. It's like a well-worn animal path in the jungle or in the forest. It's like a well-worn path. And now you've cut through the forest, through the jungle with your machete, the jungle of your mind. You've cut a new path, but it's not really well defined. And so the brain, you want to go down the same path. You know that. It's familiar. And so we think, oh, I thought I had this insight and it's not healed. I got to go back for plant medicine again. I got to do more work. Yes, but the work isn't necessarily going back right away for more plant medicine, or going back and to that retreat, or going back to service, or going back to church, or what. Yes, keep doing those things. And the work that you must do is choosing consciously in the moment. It's like you're at this fork in the road. Every moment in your mind, do I take the path well known, or do I cut the new groove? So that's another awareness that I want to talk to you about, that you're doing great. Even though you're not 100% competent at catching yourself when you're being overreactive, or instilling or instituting that new habit around exercise or diet or spiritual practice, you started it. You cut a new groove. And now, or depression or anxiety or negative self-talk or rumination, how many of us are caught in rumination and negative self-talk? Hey, Susan Day. Hello, you fabulous lady. And all you wonderful people over there in Instagram land. The camera's far away, the screen from Instagram, so I can't quite see if you're making comments. Andy says she's making daily intentions. Yes. Awesome. Okay. So now, here are the third thing I wanted to talk to you about are the things that you can say to yourself that have helped me cut that new groove, make that choice to go a new way, right? Especially around depression, anxiety, rumination, which is negative self-talk, loops of negative self-talk, double or second guessing yourself. All the things that we do that are condemning ourselves, judging ourselves, pushing ourselves down. You can't do it. You're never going to do it. Or even the lazies. I'll do it tomorrow. That's another part of just negative self-talk. Tomorrow. I'll start tomorrow. And no, we have to choose. How do you make a change? How do you start a new habit? How do you make a change in your behavior? By making a different choice right now. Choosing again. I'm going to sit down and do this. Nope. I'm sitting my butt down. I talk to myself. We're going to do this. Just do something. Just do something, JJ. Just do something, John Jacob. Just sit down and do something. And so here's some things that you can say to yourself. First of all, most change and resistance to change comes from fear. I'm afraid, and it's a fundamental fear because we're way more comfortable doing the old thing, doing the old way. And it's just a fear of the unknown, a fear of discomfort. So you get to say to yourself, there is nothing to fear. It's a simple statement. There's nothing to fear. What's underneath and behind that statement? One, If I rely on myself, there's a lot to fear. There's a lot. If I rely on the chaos and raucousness and crazy illusion thoughts of my own mind, then I do have something to be anxious about and depressed about and be afraid of, because I can't rely on myself all the time. I, as an individual ego personality, don't know what's best for everybody all the time. Don't know the right solution and the perfect way, the perfect answer every time. But guess what? There's something that does, and it's called the infinite consciousness, and it's all around us. There's our mind, which is chaotic and disorganized and raucous and loud and noisy. And then there's the mind of God, the infinite mind, which is peaceful and clear and always knows the best and highest good for everybody, and always knows the fulfillment of what's occurring, always knows the right way. There is that mind, and that mind is in you already. That mind is your mind. We get to choose which mind we're going to listen to. So we bring our awareness to it. We continue to bring our awareness to it. Awareness 1, 2, choose. I'm going to choose peace. So there's nothing to fear. Why? Because there's a mind within you that always knows. There's a mind within you, which is the infinite mind, the mind energy of God, the milpa of God, that always knows the next right step, that always knows the correct course of action, that always knows what's best for you and everyone. It's never a zero-sum game because there's only one good. So I choose to rely on that mind. I choose to pull away from the mind that is confused, the mind that lives in illusion, the mind that lives in a world of suffering and pain and death. That's the world of illusion. There's a world of peace and eternality and love and kindness. And it's the same world we're in right now. Wayne Dyer says, hostile people live in a hostile world. Happy people live in a happy world. Same world. Same world. So I get to choose which mind am I going to reside in. There's nothing to fear. There's nothing to fear when I choose the mind of God. That mind is in you. It's in me. It's the same mind. Nothing to fear. That's the first thing I say to myself. The second thing is I can choose peace right now. I can choose love. I can replace X with love or peace. I can replace this anxiety with peace. I can replace this fear with love. I can replace this hatred with love. I can replace this judgment with love. So awareness is the key. I have to be aware. I'm judging. I'm feeling angry towards somebody. I'm feeling like I'm condemning. I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling depressed. I'm feeling sad. And then we get to choose. Little by little, I'm going to choose peace. I'm replacing my sadness with joy. Now, you're going to say to me, that's great, John. I wish it was that easy. Remember the 4 stages of mastery. It isn't easy, but you're learning to master something. I'm learning to master something. And so remember, you're conscious incompetent to conscious competent, and you get to make that next step, and you make that step over and over. It is not a one and done. I get to constantly choose. I'm at the fork in the road. Am I going down the path that's well-worn? Rumination, judgment, condemnation, self-sabotage, procrastination, fear, doubt, worry, lack, limitation. Am I going down that road? I've been down that road, but it's comfortable. There's fear of the unknown. There's nothing to fear. I'm going to take the path less traveled. I just cut a new groove. I had an insight. I had a download. I see a possibility for something different, but I keep going down the same road. That's okay. Don't beat yourself up. You're at the level of mastery. You're mastering something. It's over. It's a choice. Sometimes you make the right choice. It's not even that it's a right or wrong choice. Sometimes you choose this way. Sometimes you choose that way. We just want to choose that way more and more. And we just choose. And the more you choose, the more that path is worn on a neurocognitive path, neurocognitive perspective. You're cutting a new groove. You're building up that fatty acid, linking those dominoes together on that new neural pathway. And soon that becomes the default. That becomes second nature. That becomes embodied. So it begins with choice. We simply choose. So the things that I say to myself, there's nothing to fear. There is a mind that is always peaceful. There is a mind that is always loving. There is a mind that always knows the best and highest good for all. There is a mind that knows no confusion, that only knows clarity, that knows no obstruction. And then there's my mind, my ego mind, that's full of illusion and confusion and doubt and worry and fear and suffering and pain. And that's the mind that if I choose to live there, it becomes real. And we're going to choose. I'm going to choose. There's nothing to fear. I'm going to rely on the infinite mind and find the peace of God, the peace of God that's within me. It's right here. I choose it. And sometimes just saying that, it helps me. I hope it helps you. And then the second thing is I can choose to replace this fear with love or peace. I can choose to replace this condemnation. I can choose to replace this feeling, whatever it is, with love or peace or joy or abundance or prosperity or excellence or creativity or order or harmony or balance. Pick the quality. Choose. Choose a new way. Cut a new groove. You can do it. Let's go. All right. I am so grateful to do this, to get to do this talk. I'm so grateful and so thankful. And I trust that you are having a beautiful day, and that there was something in this talk that had you say that I can choose the peace of God. The peace of God is all I seek. The peace of God is all I want. And in that peace, infinite possibility, infinite potential emerge for you and for me. And so it is. Amen. Ciao, mein, amen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a beautiful day. Beautiful, beautiful life. Beautiful, beautiful journey. I'm so grateful for you. Peace and richest blessings.